I'm tired of working for an ungrateful boss, and I know I cannot be the only one. So no, I know I was fortunate enough to get a job, but at the same time, why does my boss have to be a piece of shit? Now, I don't mean that and as in he's just a completely and totally bad person, because I don't think that. But the way he wants his store run is, in my opinion, stupid. He wants everything to be perfect at all times. He wants you doing something even whenever you've already done everything that has been designated to you. Does not matter. He wants you to keep doing it. Now, I also want to preface this by saying that he is an Indian. And if you've ever worked for Indians, you know that working for Indians sucks. Now, he wants everything in the store to be perfect. Fine, I'm okay with that. But this dude only pays me minimum wage, and if it wasn't for minimum wage laws, he would not even be paying me that. He'd be paying me far less just because they're so cheap. Now, I get constant compliments from customers every day. I've even had customers walk up to the owner of the store, okay, my boss, and say, hey, you have a really good team here. Like, your cashiers are great. Okay, and then whenever I'm gone and I have my days off, I have people, customers, who ask about me, like, oh, hey, where's Chicken Strip? Because, I don't use my real name tag, and I don't know anybody in this day and age who does, to be honest with you. But none of that matters. None of that matters. It does not matter if the customers like us. It doesn't matter if we get good reviews. It doesn't matter if people tell the owner that we're great. It doesn't matter if we keep the store pristine, because there's always a problem. There's always a reason that we can't have any raises. And did I mention that we don't even get breaks? We don't get 15-minute breaks. We don't get a lunch break. Nothing. So if you work 8 hours, you're working the entire 8-hour shift. Now, you might be able to get away with it if you're a smoker. If you're a smoker, you get smoke breaks. But if you don't smoke, guess what? Guess what? You don't get a break. So all these old fucks who go out and smoke a cigarette, great, good for you. You get a fucking break. But all these young people that don't do that shit, we don't get a break. And then they want to call us lazy pieces of shit all the time. Oh, Gen Z just doesn't have a work ethic. Well, you know what? Go fuck yourself, because I get stuck in here for an entire 8 hours, but you get breaks because you stick a fucking cigarette in your mouth and you take a few puffs off of it because it makes you feel better about yourself and because you're addicted to it. You know what? Maybe if I fucking smoke crack, I would be able to go out and take a fucking break. But unfortunately, since, I'm healthy enough, they don't let me. They're like, you have to fucking stand there all day, all fucking day. Yeah, but if I stuck a fucking cancer stick in my mouth, all of a sudden I'm allowed to take a break. Like, oh, you can't have a break unless you're, actively trying to kill yourself. Give yourself fucking popcorn lung, tar lung, can't fucking breathe, and they always had the same fucking excuse, too. They're always like, oh, well, if I don't have a cigarette, I start to get really pissy. Well, God, I don't give a fuck, okay? I don't give a shit. I don't get a break. I start to get pissy. How about that? Fuck you. And it's always the same people. They're like, Gen Z has no work ethic. Then they go out and they take fucking 50 cigarette breaks a day. 50. Okay. And I'm stuck behind the counter doing the vast majority of the work. And whenever I'm not behind the counter, I'm out there doing stuff they should be doing, like cleaning up after customers, wiping shit off of fucking toilets, bro. And they're out there fucking dragging on a cigarette like, their day just couldn't be any fucking better because they're just wasting fucking time and getting paid for it. And on top of that, they don't want to give any raises. But we had a person that worked there for 6 years. She never got a raise. Not a single time. The only raise she got is if minimum wage went up. But a loyalty raise, anything, a thank you raise, like, oh, thank you for your hard work these past 6 years. No, it was bullshit. And then whenever they wanted to promote her to assistant manager, they only wanted to give her a 50 to 75-cent raise. Like, what are we doing? We want to say that, nobody wants to work, but nobody wants to pay either. Nobody does. It's bullshit. And we pass over, like, normal Gen Z people like myself, like just normal 20-year-olds for fucking 36 to 42-year-olds who come into work high. All they do is smoke. Their entire personality is 420 blaze it, and they don't do anything. They can't even operate their fucking phone when they come in because they're too fucking high to do it. And why is that? It's because they pay minimum wage. We are the only convenience store in my entire city that pays minimum wage. Everybody else pays over minimum wage. So I know what you're thinking. Okay, well, quit complaining. Go get a job there. Well, that's fine. I put in several applications to all those places, but I never get hired. I was lucky I got hired here. So pardon me while I bitch about the only job I've been able to get, because our job economy sucks too. Anyway, I got sidetracked. But my point is that if you have minimum wage as your starting pay, you attract minimum effort employees or crackheads. Yeah, you attract crackheads too. And nobody wants to work with a crackhead and nobody wants to employ a crackhead. But you know what? My store's done it because we're fucking cheap. And oh, it's infuriating because they'll sneak off on you to go smoke a little meth. And it's not like we don't get business. We do get business. We get a lot of business. Actually, we get so much business, in fact, that in 15 days, out of like the first 15 days of the month, we get like $286,000 total. Now, I don't know how much profit that is, but I'm going to assume that it's probably a lot. And it's probably enough to give me a pay raise, I would think, because $286,000 in 15 days, that's a lot of money. You're moving a lot of money. Meanwhile, I'm struggling going paycheck to paycheck because one of my checks has to be used to pay all of my rent for 1 month, and then my next check has to go to all of my utilities. Actually, I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. I qualify for food stamps. If it wasn't for that, I'd be fucking starving right now. Meanwhile, the owner of this convenience store buys a 5,000 square foot house and goes on like 18 trips to India and Cancun and the UK every year. But nah, paying me an extra $2 an hour is just it's out of range. He doesn't make enough for that. Bullshit. Bullshit. You don't want to cut into your profit, so you don't want to pay me anymore because you enjoy doing the things that you do, and you don't give a shit that you're paying me struggle wages. Honestly, I'm convinced that if it wasn't for minimum wage laws, I would be doing the equivalent of indentured servitude. They'd give me like a shekel like every 2 days or so for doing what I do now. And they'd be happy about it. They'd be like, oh, buddy, we pay you a lot of money, okay? We pay you lots of money. We give you 2 shekel. How about we give you a bonus? We give you extra shekel today, huh? All while they live in their big 5,000 square foot castle and they take 18 trips out of the country every year. And they don't care. They don't care that I can barely afford my rent. They don't care that I can barely afford my utilities. You know what matters to them? That they can afford to pay for their shit, and that's it. That is all they care about, but they don't want to run the store themselves. They would rather have somebody else do it. I mean, our candy bars cost $5. If I wanted to shop there, there's no way that I could do it. I could not do that. And I know what you're going to say. Like, that's the price of convenience. Yeah, well, price these nuts, motherfucker, because no candy bar should be $5. Sodas should not be like $3.99, okay? Your chocolate milk shouldn't be nowhere near like $3.50, okay? I'm sorry, but where I live, those prices are high. Where you live, it may not be that high, but where I am, it's high. Okay, like, that's like, I can't afford to shop there even though I work there kind of high. And next time you're like, oh, Gen Z is worthless, they don't like to work. Well, have you ever thought about the flip side of that, where the boss doesn't want to pay you but wants to work you like a fucking mule every day, and they're just content to do that because they actually don't give a shit about you or anybody else except for their trips to Cancun and their trips to Rome and touring Italy and going to like fucking Niagara Falls just for fun? Like, come on now. There's 2 sides to every coin, and you can't just blame it all on Gen Z being lazy pieces of shit whenever, the people who own these businesses or these managers who manage these businesses are only in it for the money. They don't care what they have to do to get more of that money, and we are the expense of that. At the end of the day, all they care about is that they can profit off of our labor and pay us as little as possible and try to keep us content with that. That's it. That's all they care about. And as long as we don't do anything about it, they're just going to keep doing it. Anyway, I've ranted long enough, and the more I go, the more ticked off I'm going to get, because this is just something I think about every day. While I'm at work, while I'm at home, I have to do something better. I can't start a business. I'm priced out of that. Half the time I'm priced out of going across the fucking city to get another job, even though I would be great in the position that they're hiring for. It's all shit. Everything is shit.